The learnings of Nishmas Etta Ahuva bas Yaakov. Masechet Sotah Perek Zayim Mishna Yomi. Brachos v'klolos Ketzad. How were the brachos and klolos said over? Kivin she'avru Yisrael tzayardein. When Klal Yisrael crossed over the Yarden, ubol hagrizim v'har evel sheb'shomron, and they came to Har Grizim and Har Evel by Shomron. Shebetzad Shechem, which was and the tzad of Shechem, Shebe'etzel Eloinei Meira, which was by Eloinei Meira. And now the Mishnah brings a raya that was the geographical location. Shenemar Haloihema Be'er Yadei Megoimer Lalon Oimer Ve'yaver Avram Be'eretz HaMokum Shechem Ad Eloin Meira. Ma Eloin Meira Ha'omer Lalon Shechem Af Eloin Meira Ha'omer Kan Shechem. So the shita of our Mishnah is brought in the Gemara as a machlokes, whether it was Har Grizim and Har Evel were farther away from the Yarden, which the Yerushalmi says was 120 mil away. Tosfos brings it down, and it was an ace. Then on that day that they passed over the Yarden, they traveled 120 mil, and that's the sheet of our Mishnah, that it was near Shechem. And the other sheet brought in the Gemara is a Belazar that says it was right next to the Yarden. Be'er Yarden means Samuch Liyarden. The Mishnah continues what happened over there. Shisha Shvatim Olo L'Rosh Har Grizim, V'Shisha Shvatim Olo L'Rosh Har Evel. The Gemara says which 6 Shvatim were on Har Grizim and which 6 Shvatim were on Har Evel. So Rav Kahana says the same way they're chaluk on the Avnei Ha'efa, the same way they split up, so too over here was the same thing. That on Har Grizim was Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Yosef, and Binyamin, and on Har Evel was Reuven, Gad, Asher, Zvulun, Dan, and Naphtali. The Mishnah continues, V'akoinim v'aleviyim v'aron oimdim lemata be'emtza. The koinim and the leviyim and the aron were on the bottom in the middle. And this also is a machlokes in the Gemara, because the Gemara has a stira that one pasuk is mashma that the leviyim were on top on the mountain, and the other pasuk is mashma they're lower down. So the Gemara brings 2 shitas. Either it was the Zikni Kuhuna of Elavia where Lamata and everyone else was Lamaila, so it was Zikenim Lamata. And the other Shita is Rabbi Yishia that says anyone that was Royal L'Shares between 20 and 50, that was Lamata, and Vashar Lamaila, and everyone else was Lamaila. And there's a third Shita brought in Tosfos that just the Kohanim were Lamata and the Leviim were Lamaila. The Mishnah continues weiter that Akoinim Akifin is Ha'aron, the Kohanim went around the Aron, V'alaviyim es Akoinim, and the Leviim went around the Kohanim, V'chol Yisrael, Mikan and Mikan. Klal Yisrael was on either side. Shenamar V'chol Yisrael was the Kohanim, V'shoyter V'oinim Mizeh, Umizeh L'Aron, V'goymer. Havchu P'neim Kalape Hagrizim, Upaschu B'bracha. They faced Hagrizim, and they said a bracha, Baruch Ha'ish Asher Le'aseh Pesel Masecha. So they said only one bracha. And then Ve'elu Ve'eloin and Amen, both sides answered Amen. Then Havchu P'neim Kalape Har Evel Upaschu B'klala, and they said one klala facing Har Evel. And they said Aresh Asher Yasel Pesel Masecha Ve'elu Ve'eloin and Amen. And again, both groups answered Amen. And then they went back and forth. Each bracha was towards Har Grizim, and each klala was towards Har Evel. Ad Shagoyim brachos v'klalos, until they completed the brachos and the klalos. V'achar kach heviu es havanim, they brought the stones. Ubanu es hamizbeach, and they built the mizbeach. V'sado basid, and then they put cement on top of those stones. V'kasvu alav es kol divrei haTorah b'shivin lashon, and afterwards, so it looks like from the Mishnah, on top of the sid, they wrote the Torah in 70 languages. And this seems to be the shita of Reb Shimon in the Gemara. The Gemara again brings a machlokes, but does not speak who the Tana of our Mishnah is, but it sounds like it's Reb Shimon, because Reb Shimon says that the Torah was written on the Sid. So first they wrote the Sid, and then they wrote the Torah. And the reason is because he says afterwards they even wrote, Laman asher lo yilmedu eschem lases kechol, that if the other umas would be chayzer b'tshuva, they would have been mikabel them. Like the Rav over here brings down, this was as shaloyeh pischim pel umais, that we didn't know, so they wrote it in 70 languages that all the ummahs could understand it. Rabbi Yehuda in the Gemara holds that it was first written the Torah, and then the Sid was on top of it. And Reb Shina's taina is that if there was Sid on top of it, how the other ummah is going to see it. Yehuda responds that they would be able to be kailif, they would peel off the Sid. What exactly did they write? So the Taisus Yanta brings a machlekes. Some Rishonim say that they wrote the whole Torah, Mibrachus until the Einei Kol Yisrael, and he brings a Beinu Sadja going that says that they wrote from the Sefer HaMitzvos. The Notus Shenemar Beher Heitiv, and Notus Avanu, they took the Avanu Bav Alanu B'Mekoyim, and they took it to their place where they were sleeping in Gilgal. Mishna Vav Birchas Kenim Ketzad. The Mishnah says that there were three differences in the Beis Hamikdash than from the rest of Yerushalayim. So the rest of Eretz Yisrael. The Medina Oimrim Oisai Shloisha Brachas of a Mikdash Bracha Achas. So normally it was said three separate brachas, like we say it, and after each one, Yivarecha Hashem Yishmerecha, you answer Amen. Yar Hashem Panav Elecha, you answer Amen. Yisa Hashem Panav Elecha, Yasim Ucha Shalom, you answer Amen. But in the Mikdash, they only said one bracha because you don't answer Amen in the Mikdash. So they said it as one long bracha. And then after they answered, Baruch Shem Kavay Mechusay Leilam Vayed. The second difference is, B'Mikdash Omer Es Hashem Kiksaveh, they said it Yud Hey Vav Hey. And Medina B'Kinuyav, they said it Aleph Daled Nun Yud. And the third difference is, Medina Kohenim Noisim Es Yadeim Kinegei Kaspeim. The Kohenim had their hands the same level as their shoulders. And B'Mikdash Al Gabi Rishayin, it was on top of their heads because the Shechina was above their Kishrei Atzbeiseim, so they wanted their hands to be above their heads. Chutz mi Kohen Gadol, except for the Kohen Gadol, the Tanakama holds the Kohen Gadol was Eina Magbias Yadav L'maylam and Atzitz because he couldn't put his hand above the tzitz where the shame is written. And Rabbi Yehuda Omer, that wasn't a problem. Af Kohen Gadol Magbias Yadav L'maylam, and it says the Kohen Gadol could raise his hand above the tzitz. Shenemar, he learns that from a pasuk, Vayisa Aaron is Yadav Ela Om Vayivarachim. So even Aaron, who was a Kohen Gadol, lifted up his hands.